When Harry woke up on Sunday morning, it took him a moment to remember why he felt so miserable and worried. Then the memory of the previous night rolled over him. He sat up and repeated back the certain of his own four-poster, intending to talk to Ron, to force Ron to believe him, only to find that Ron's bed was empty. He had obviously gone down to breakfast. Harry dressed and went down the spiral staircase into the common room. The moment he appeared, the people who had already finished breakfast broke into applause again. The prospect of going down into the great hall and facing the rest of the Gryffindors, all treating him like some sort of hero, was not inviting. It was that, however, or say here and allow himself to be cornered by the Greevy brother, who were both becoming frantically to him to join them. He walked resolutely over to the portrait hall, pushed it open, climbed out of it, and found himself face to face with Hermione. "Hello," she said, holding up a stack of toast, which she was carrying in the napkin. "I brought you this. Want to go for a walk?" "Good idea," said Harry gratefully. They went downstairs, crossed the entraced hall quickly without looking in the greater hall, and were soon striding across the lawn towards the lake where the Durmstrang ship was moored, reflected blackly in the water. It was a chilly morning, and they kept moving, munching their toast, as Harry told Hermione exactly what had happened after he had left the Gryffindor table the night before, to this immense relief. Hermione accepted his story without questions. "Well, of course, I knew you hadn't entered yourself," she said, when he finished telling her about the scene in the chamber of the hall. "The look on your face when Dumbledore read out your name. But the question is, who did put it in? Because Moody's right, Harry. I don't think any student could have done it. They'd never be able to fool the goblet or get over Dumbledore's. Have you seen Ron?" Harry interrupted. Hermione decided. Yes, he was at breakfast," she said. "Does he still think I entreat myself?" "Well, no, I don't think so. Not really," said Hermione awkwardly. "What's it supposed to mean, not really?" "Oh, Harry, isn't it obvious?" Hermione said despairingly. "He's jealous." "Jealous?" Harry said incredulously. "Jealous of what?" "He wants to make a brat of himself in front of the whole school, does he?" "Look," said Hermione, petently. It's always you who gets all the attention. You know it is. I know it's not your fault. She added quickly, seeing Harry open his mouth furiously. I know you don't ask for it, but, well, you know, Ron's got all those brothers to complete against at home, and you're his best friend, and you're really famous. He's always shutting to one side whenever people see you, and be puts up with it, and he never mentioned it, but I suppose this is just one time too many. Great, said Harry bitterly. Really great. Tell him from me I swap any times be once. Tell him from me he's welcome to eat. People coughing my forehead everywhere I go. I'm not telling him anything, Hermione said shortly. Tell him yourself. It's the only way to sort this out. I'm not running around after him trying to make him grow up, Harry said so loudly that made several owls in a nearby tree took fight the alarm. Maybe he believed I'm not enjoying myself once I've got my neck broken off. That's not funny, said Hermione quickly. That's not funny at all. She looked extremely anxious. Harry, I've been thinking, you know what we got to do, don't you? Staring away the moment we get back at the castle. Yeah. Give Ron a good kick up the why too serious. You got to tell him what's happened. He asked you to keep him posted on everything that's going on the Hogwarts. It's almost like he expected something like this to happen. I brought some parchment and quill out with me. Come off it, said Harvey, looking around to check that they could be overhead. But the grounds were quite deserted. He came back to the country just because my scar twinged. He probably come bursting right into the castle if I tell him someone's interrogate me for the Triwizard tournament. He'd want you to tell him, said Hermione instantly. He's going to find out a way. How, Harry? This isn't going to be kept quiet, said Hermione very seriously. This tournament's famous and you're famous. I'd be really surprised if there isn't anything in the Daily Prophet about you coming. You really in half the books about you know who. You know, and Sirius would rather be in it from you. I know he would. Okay. I write to him, said Harry, throwing his last piece of toast into the lake. They both stood and one watched it floating there for a moment. before a large stone tentacle rose out of the water and scooped it beneath the surface. Then they returned to the castle. Whose owl am I going to use? Harry said as they climbed stairs. He told me not to use Hadwin again. Ask Ron if you can borrow. I'm not asking Ron anything, Harry said flatly. Well, borrow one of the school owls and anyone can use them, said Hermione. They went up to the owlery. Hermione gave Harry a piece of parchment, a quail, and a bottle of ink, then strolled around the long lines of pages, looking at all the different owls, while Harry sat down again and wrote his letter. Dear Sirius, you told me to keep your paws on what happened in Hogwarts. So he goes. I don't know if you heard, but the Triwizard tournaments happening this year and ends today night. I got picked as a full champion. I don't know who put my name in the Goblet of Fire, because I didn't. They all the Hogwarts champion is Cedric Diggory from Hufflepuff. He passed this point, seeking he had an urge to say someone about the large weight of anxiety that seemed to have settled inside his chest since last night, but he couldn't think how to translate this into words. So he simply dipped his quail back into the ink bottle and wrote, Hope you're okay. And back here, Harry. Finish it, told Hermione, getting to his feet and brushing straw off his robes. As this Hedwig came floating down into his shoulder and held out her leg. I can't use you, Harry told her, looking around of the school owls. I got to use one of these. Hedwig gave a very loud hoot and took off so suddenly that her tail was cut into the shoulder. She kept back her back to Harry all the time he was trying his letter to the legs of a large barn owl. When the barn owl had flown off, Harry reached out to stalk Hedwig, but she clicked her beak furiously and soared up into the rafters out of reach. First Ron, then you, said Harry angrily. This isn't my fault. If Harry had thought that matter would improve once everyone got used to this idea of him being champion, the following day showed him how mistaken he was. He could not longer await the rest of the school once he was back at lessons, and it was clear that the rest of the school just like the Gryffindors thought Harry had entered himself for the tournament, unlike the Gryffindors. However, they did not seem impressed. The Hufflepuff, who were usually on excellent terms with the Gryffindors, had turned remarkably cold towards a whole lot of them. One herbology lesson was enough to demonstrate this. It was plain that the Hufflepuff felt that Harry had stolen the champion's glory, a feeling exacerbated, perhaps, by the fact the Hufflepuff, whose very rarely got any glory, and the Cedric was one of the few who had ever given any, having beaten Gryffindor once of Quidditch. Ernie Marshmallow and Eustace Finch-Fletchley, with who Harry normally got on very well, did not talk to him even though they were reporting bouncing bubbles. At the same tray, through the daylight, Rita unpleasantly when one of the bouncing bulbs whirling free from Harry grew and smacked him hard in the face. Ron wasn't taking to Harry, each Hermione sat between them, making very forced conversation, but told both unswerved here normally. They avoided making eye contact. Back-ended it to each nails painted crimson. I wonder if I could have a little word with Harry before we start, she said to Bagman, but still gazing fixedly at Harry. The youngest champion, you know, to add a bit of color. Sadly, created Bagman, that is Harry has no objection? Said Harry. Lovely, said Rita Skeeter, and in a second, her scarlet talent finger had Harry's upper arm in a surprisingly strong grip, and she was steering him out of the room again and opening a nearby door. We don't want to be there with all that noise, she said. Let's see. Yes, this is nice and cozy. It was broom cupboard. Harry started her. Come along, dear. That's right. Lovely, said Rita Skeeter again, perching herself precariously upon the upturned bucket, pushing Harry down out of a cardboard box and closing the door, throwing them into darkness. Let's see now. She unsnapped her crocodile skin handbag and pulled out a handful of candles, which she lit with a wave of her wand and magicked into mid-air, so that they could see what they were doing. You won't mind, Harvey, if I use a quick question squall. It leaves me free to talk you to normally. What? Said Harry. Rita Skeeter smile widened. Harvey counted the gold teeth. She reached again into her crocodile bag and drew out of long acid green quill and a roll of parchment, which she stretched all between them on a crate of Mrs. Cover, all-purpose magical mess remover. She put the tip of the green coil into her mouth, sucked it for a moment with apparent relish, then placed it upright on the parchment where it stood balanced on its point, quivering slightly. Testing? My name is Rita Skeeter, daily prepper reporter. Harvey looked down quickly at the quill the moment Rita Skeeter had spoken. The green quill had started to scribble, skidding across the parchment. Attractive blonde Rita Skeeter, 43, whose savage quill has punctured many inflated reputation. Lovely, said Rita Skeeter yet again, and she ripped the top piece of parchment off, crumpled it up, and stuffed it into her handbag. How she leaned toward Harry and said, "So, Harry, what made you decide to enter the trivia tournament?" Said Harry again, but he was distracted by the quill. Evan thought he wasn't speak, it was dashing across the parchment, and it is a way he could make out a French sentence. An ugly scare, suffering of a tragic past, disfigured the otherwise champing face of Harry Potter, whose eyes ignored the quill. Harry, said Rita Skeeter, firmly reclined. Harry looked up at her instead. Now, why did you decide to enter the tower, Harry? I didn't, said Harry. I don't know how my name got into the Goblet of Fire. I didn't put it into there. Rita Skeeter raised one heavily penciled eyebrow. Come on, Harry. There's no need to be scared of getting into trouble. We all know you should really have entered at all, but don't worry about that. Already slow rebel. But I didn't enter, Harry repeated. I don't know who. How do you feel about the task ahead? Said Rita Skeeter. Excited? Nervous? I haven't real thought. Yeah, nervous, I suppose, said Harry. His insiders squinted uncomfortably as he spoke. Champions have died in the past. Have they? Said Rita Skeeter briskly. Have you thought about that all? Well, they say it's going to be a lot safer this year, said Harry. The choir whizzed across the parchment between them, back and forward as Loud was asking. Of course you looked death in the face before, have you? Said Rita Skeeter, watching him closely. How would you say that affected you? Said Harry yet again. Do you think that the trauma in your past mind have made you keen to prove yourself? To life up your name? Do you think that perhaps you were tempted to enter the Three Wizard tournament because I didn't enter? Said Harry, starting to feel enraged. Can you remember your parents at all? Said Rita Skeeter, taking over him. No, said Harry. How do you think they feel as they knew you were competing in the Three Wizard tournament? Proud? Worried? Angry? Harry was feeling really annoyed now. How on earth was he to know how his parents would feel if they were alive? He could feel Rita Skeeter watching him very intently. Frowning, he avoided her gaze and looked down at the word the choir had just written. Tears filled those startling green eyes as all conversation turns to the parents he can barely remember. I have not got tears in my eyes, said Harry loudly. Before Rita Skeeter could say a word, the door of the broom cupboard was pulled open. Harry looked around, blinking in the brilliant light. Albus Dumbledore stood there, looking down at both of them squished into the cupboard. Dumbledore, cried Rita Skeeter with every apparent of belief. But Harry noticed that her quill and the parchment had suddenly vanished, for the box of magical mass removed, and Rita's clawed fingers were hastily snapping shut the clasps of the crocodile skin bag. Who are you? She said, standing up and holding one of her large, mannish hand to Dumbledore. I hope you saw my piece over the summer about the International Confederation of Wizard Conference. and handing Nancy, said Dumbledore, his eyes twinkling. I particularly enjoyed your description of me as an obviously dingbat. Rita Skeeter didn't look remotely abashed. I was just making the point that some of your ideas are a little old-fashioned, Dumbledore, and that many visit in the street. I will be delegate to hear the reasoning behind the rodents, Rita, said Dumbledore with a conscious bow and smile. But I am afraid we will have to discuss the matter later. The waiting of the wands is about to start, and it cannot take place one of our champions behind in a broom cupboard. Very glad to get away from Rita Skeeter, Harry hurried back into the room. The other champions were now sitting in chairs near the door, and be sat down quickly next to Cedric, looking up at the velvet-covered table where 4 of the 5 judges were now sitting. Professor Karkaroff, Madam Maxim, Mr. Crouch, and Ludo Bagman. Rita Skeeter settled herself down in a corner. Harry saw her slip the parchment out of her back again, spread in on her knee, suck the end of the quarter squile, and place it once more in the parchment. May I introduce Mr. Ollivander, said Dumbledore, taking his place at the judge's table and taking to the champion. He will be checking you once to ensure that they are in good condition before the tournament. Harry looked around, and with a jolt of surprise saw an old wizard with large play eye standing quiet by the window. Harry had met Mr. Ollivander before. He was a wand maker from Harry had bought his own wand over three years ago in Diagon Alley. Mademoiselle Delacour, could we have you forward first, please? Said Mr. Ollivander, stepping into the empty space in the middle of the room. Fleur Delacour swept over to Mr. Ollivander and handed him the wand. He said. He twirled the wand between his long fingers like a baton, and it emitted a number of pink and gold sparks. Then he held it close to his eyes and examined it carefully. Yes, he said quietly, 9.5 inches. Inflexible, rosewood, and contained, dear me, an air from the of wheels, said Fleur, one of my grandmother. So Fleur was part Willa, showed Harry, making a mental note to tell Ron. Then he remembers that Ron once speaking him. Yes, said Mr. Ollivander. Yes, I've never used the Willa hair myself, of course. I find it makes for Rita temperamental ones. However, to each his own, and if this suits you. Mr. Lavender ran his finger along the wand, apparently checking for scratches or bumps. Then he muttered orchideas and a bunch of flower balls from the one tip. Very well, very well. It's in the fine working order, said Mr. Ollivander, scooping up the flowers and handing them to Fleur with her wand. Mr. Diggory, you next. Fleur jilted back to his cat, smiling at Cedric as he passed her. Oh, now this is one of mine, isn't it? Said Mr. Ollivander with much more enthusiasm, as Cedric handed over his wand. Yes, I remember it well. Contained a seeing hair from the tail of a particularly fine male unicorn. Must have been 17 hands. Nearly gored me with his horn after I pocket his tail. 12 and a quarter inches. Ash, pleasantly spring. It's a fine condition. You treat it regular? Polished it last night, said Cedric, grinning. Harry looked down at his own ones. He could see finger marks all over it. He gathered a fistful of rope from his knee and tried to rub it. Clean superficially several gold sparks shot out of the end of it. Fleur delicious give him a very patronizing look, and he decided. Mr. Ollivander sent a stream of silver smoke right across the room from the tip of Cedric's wand, proned himself at his feet and said, Mr. Crumb, if you please. Victor Crumb got up and slouched and duck-footed toward Mr. Ollivander. He thrust his wand out and stood scrolls with his hand in the pocket of the robes. Said Mr. Ollivander, this is a Gregorovitch creation. unless I'm much mistake. I find what's make a troll is styling and never quite what I. However, he lifted the wand and examined it minutely, turning it over and over before his eyes. Yes, hornbeam and dragon hissing. He shot a crumb who noted rated tickets that one usually sees. Quite rigid, 10 and a quarter each, Avis. The hornbeam won't let off a blast like a gun, and a number of small twittering birds flew out of the end and chose the open window into the watery singly. Like, good, said Mr. Ollivander, handing Crumb back his wand. Which lives, Mr. Potter? Harry got to his feet and walked past Crumb to Mr. Ollivander. He held over his wand. Yes, said Mr. Ollivander, his pale eye suddenly gleaming. Yes. How well I remember. Harry could remember too. He could remember it as a truth. It had happened yesterday. 4 summers ago, on his 11th birthday, he had entered Mr. Ollivander's shop with Hagrid to buy a wand. Mr. Ollivander had taken his measurement and then started handing him one to try. Harry had waved what felt like every wand in the shop until at last he had found the one that suited him. This one, which was made of wholly 11 inches long and contained a single feather from the tail of a phoenix. Mr. Ollivander had been very surprised that Harry had been so completely with this wand. Curious, he had said. Curious. And not until Harry asked what was curious had Mr. Ollivander explained that the phoenix feather in Harry's wand has come from the same bird which has supplied the core of Lord Voldemort's. Harry had never shared this piece of information with anybody. He was very fond of his wand, and as far as he was concerned, its relation to Voldemort's wand was something if could help, rather as he could have been related to Aunt Petunia. However, he really hoped that Mr. Ollivander wasn't about to tell the room about it. He had a funny feeling Rita Skeeter's quick-quoted squeal might just explode with excitement if it did. Mr. Ollivander spent much longer examining Harry once than anyone else. Eventually, however, he made a fountain of wine shoot out of it and handed it back to Harry, announcing that it was still in perfect condition. Thank you all, said Dumbledore, staring up at the judge. Table You may go back to your lessons now, or perhaps it would be quicker just to go down to dinner, as they are about, and feeling that at last something had gone right today, Harry got up to leave, but the man with the black camera jumped up and clearing his throat. Photos, Dumbledore photos, greet Bagman excitedly. All the judges and champions. What do you think, Rita? Yes. Let's do this first, said Rita Skeeter, whose eyes were upon Harry again, and then perhaps some individual shots. The photographs took a long time. Madame Maxime cast everyone else into shadow wherever she stood, and the photographer could stand far enough back to get her into the frame. Eventually, she had to sit while everyone else stood around her. Karkaroff kept twirling his goblet around his finger to give an extra curl. Crumb, who Harry would have thought would have been used to this sort of thing, skulked, half hidden at the back of the group. The photographer seemed keen to get Flair at the front, but Rita Skeeter kept hurrying forward and dragging Harry into great prominence. Then she insisted on separate shot of all the champions. At last they were free to go. Harry went down to dinner. Hermione wasn't there. He supposed she was still in the hospital, when having her teeth fixed. He ate alone at the end of the table, then returned to Gryffindor Tower, thinking of all the extra work on some morning charms that he had to do. Up in the dormitory, he came across Ron. "You had an owl," said Ron brusquely the moment he walked in. He was pointing at Harry's pillow. The school-born owl was waiting for him there. "Oh, right," said Harry. "And we got to do all the tension tomorrow night." "Snape's tension," said Ron. He then walked staring out of the room, not looking at Harry. For a moment, Harry considered going after him. He wasn't sure which he wanted to talk to him or hit him. Both seemed quite appealing, but the lure of serious answer was too strong. Harry strode over to the barn owl. He took the latter of his leg and unrolled it. "Harry, I can say everything I would like to in a letter. It's too risky in case the owl is intercepted. We need to talk, face to face. Can you ensure that you are alone by the fire in Gryffindor Tower at 1 o'clock in the morning on the 22 November? I know better than anyone that you can look after yourself, And while you're round Dumbledore and Monday, I don't think anyone will be able to hurt you. However, someone seems to be having a good try, and turning you at the tournament would have been very risky, especially right under Dumbledore's nose. Be on the watch, Harry. I still want to hear about anything unusual. Let me know about the 22 November as quickly as you can. Serious.